Welcome to another episode of Slash Chat Podcast. I'm Yirmiel here, and I have a horribly sore throat. So, unfortunately, most of today you probably won't hear me talking, but instead scribbling and writing. So, I will have to make some sort of noise to indicate that I've written something on the board, though. That way the board gets paid attention to.
Some sort of noise. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll figure out something.
Just meow.
Meow. That hurts. That
Just-
hurts worse than actually talking.
Show them your shirt then.
Well, no, I need to make something so that the camera switches over. But anywho. So, our lovely hosts down here. I'm so used to doing it this way, but it's no longer. So that I can actually type or write and you guys read it, I had to mirror my camera. So it's so weird. I get to pet them now this way. It's so weird. But I'm going to immediately throw this over to them so I can start writing. So, over to them. Alex, go ahead.
Well, first I gotta get my cat to shut up. Get out of here.
Meow, 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 meow.
Oh, here. All he just won't shut up. Shut up.
It's like an alarm clock, you know. Podcast down.
Get your claw off my headphone wire. Okay. Now he's fine. It's been a while, hasn't it? First off, I want to welcome Grim back. Because it's been empty without him being a trollish idiot. We love you, Grim. But the rest of my week, or weeks, I don't remember the last time we did this. I really don't. But lots happened. I kind of invested more time in some anime. I finished Batum, which took me a long time to do because I kept getting distracted. And I'm actually pretty surprised at how much closure it has as the first season. I mean, it blatantly sets up a second season because there's so many unanswered questions and they don't even get off the island. But it didn't feel like there was a ton of unanswered questions. And compared to something like Dead Man Wonderland, which just completely implied a second season completely and didn't deliver in the slightest, I think Batum had a good amount of closure. And I also liked how the last episode worked, even though something happened in that episode that I'm not entirely happy with because it involved a character that I really liked. But besides that, kind of been watching some more Watamote, and I'm getting to the point in Watamote where it's just getting uncomfortably awkward, because not the fact that she just gets stuck in these completely awkward situations, but the fact that you're starting to get the idea that people are openly pitying Tomoko's character, and that makes me feel bad. I know she's supposed to be just this completely awkward girl who's trying to do these elaborate plans to be popular, but now people are starting to openly demonstrate their pity toward her, and it's depressing. Well, it's a little depressing. So, I've been hearing a lot of horror stories about the second season of Sword Art. One of which was, well, it's just looking more and more like what a lot of people expected. So, I'm hesitant to go into that second season because the second half of the first season left such a bad taste in my mouth. As far as the games go, I have a review of the Metro Redux game on Hardcore Gamer. I've been working on that over the last week or so because it's basically the two games, Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, together with better graphics and a new engine. And if you want to read the review, it's there. hardcoregamer.com. It's interesting. Other than that, I've been kind of just playing other games. I dove into Paper Mario, and I've been playing this game, Bravely Default. So good. It's so good.
I've heard a lot about that
This
from
is
my mates.
amazing
Too much.
for a number of reasons. this is basically what happens when Square decides, hey, maybe we should stop making soulless, unlikable protagonists in our Final Fantasy games and make a game that stems off from the first Final Fantasy, because there's 4 characters, but you can assign jobs to any one of them. There are so many jobs. It's so customizable. Battle system's so good, and it has this sort of this little side quest, overarching side quest, where you can rebuild the town that is destroyed at the beginning of the game, and it uses microtransactions, but it uses them in a completely unobtrusive way. It's so good because you can pay money, but if you don't, you just take more time. And if you have people in your friends list through Street Pass, that can speed up the rebuilding. It's just so good, and I'm like, I don't feel like I need to do microtransactions at all, and I don't feel like there's a deficit there. So I've been investing time in that. I've been trying out all these new jobs, and there's random battles, but I don't care because they're good. This is probably going to hook me the same way as, I can't remember the last time an RPG on a handheld hooked me this much, because I just won't play it. But I've been playing Paper Mario 2. And I just did a Twitch stream. Well, I didn't do a Twitch stream. I did a Hitbox stream, because Twitch is dead now. So,
Since when?
Since they decided to just randomly copyright and flag people's videos for their mechanical, completely robotic copyright music matching. And I'm like, I do not want 30 minutes of my stream just silence. Like they just silence everything. So I thought, I'm gonna try Hitbox, just see if it really is as good as people say. And while it's still too early for me to determine if it's the way to go, it has a lot of features that I really think are good. It's sort of, well, first of all, the latency is much, much slower. I mean, the chat doesn't take a full 30 seconds to update. The streaming speed, the uploading is a lot faster, and overall, it's just a more streamlined experience. Even within the dashboard, you can set up social media posts, you can set up giveaways, you can set up polls. It's all in the dashboard. And I pretty much said I understand why people would be hesitant to switch, because they have followings on Twitch and they might not want to follow them to Hitbox. But for me, who has like no following, I don't have anything to lose. So I really think that Hitbox is good. We'll see if it is able to, fill the void that Twitch just killed itself in. But if you guys, I recommend just at least giving it a try, even if you don't like it. But I thought it had a lot of really good features, and I think everyone should give it a try. So that's really what I was doing. The rest of the stuff is just music stuff that you guys don't care about. So we'll throw it over to who's next.
Well, next, normally me. Hello. My week has just been one giant blur of Firefall. That game is fucking amazing. I can't stop thinking about like Starship Troopers and Halo while I'm playing this game. It's just like, what the hell? It's got a incredibly good like multiplayer experience in it. I've found I haven't liked most MMOs. It's just World of Warcraft never really did it for me. I know it was for a couple people here. They're like, World of Warcraft was awesome. The closest thing that I ever got into before this to MMOs was like Neverwinter Online, but once I got to max level, I was like, screw this game, it's over, whatever. This, I don't know, I just like it for some reason, and I can't really explain the entirety of why, but almost at my first max level battle frame. Next one up is I'm going to use the Firecat. It's kind of crazy, all over the place. It has a very good storyline and direction, which is probably why I like it more, now that I think about it. It has a full-on story which you can play and feel like you're playing single player if that's what you want. Who knows? Because of the craziness of this game, I haven't played much Minecraft, which is very new to me, because I'm always playing Minecraft, so who knows? Other than that, that's been mostly my week, other than job hunting, because my contract up at the mines run out. So yeah, find a job. Until then, awesome game to keep me sane, so to say. Yeah, not much other news than that for me. unfortunately. I never have as much to talk about. I pass it over to the next person before I go insane over Firefall.
Okay, I guess it's me now, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Speaking of Hitbox, you reminded me to go reserve my username so I don't end up in the boat somebody else currently is. In
Yeah. Regardless of whether or not you're going to use it, you should do that.
Well, yeah, because no one's gonna use Tjolberg Fiach, but someone might use Tjolberg. So I just did that while you were talking.
Yeah, we also thought that like no one would use Almir Meal.
Really?
Yeah,
Someone's
that's-
already...
There's a
Wow.
story behind that I've heard that rant already.
Yeah, I have to.
There's a fuming kitty right now in the pink room,
Mm.
but her throat is sore. So, let's see. What have I been up to the last couple weeks? Well, as always, working at the gym. I've got to design new birthday party stuff because we're going to start doing parkour-themed birthday parties for kids. So I have to figure out how to set that up.
Oh, signed up, by the way.
That way you don't have to do Alpha Cardinal again.
Yeah, that pissed me off so much. I would be like, everybody dies.
But let's see.
I would have to quit the internet, I'm sorry.
I guess I'll just go through all the non-video game stuff first.
She's clicking! What's going on?
What? No, Mimir wants to talk. It's reversed.
What's she saying? Fuck Hitbox?
She's saying fuck Hitbox is what she said. You can say
Hey,
it. We're on
Hitbox is
Twitch.
great. It's the
Fuck
person who
Hitbox.
stole your name that sucks. I'm not saying you're responsible for that. I'm saying that the service is fine. It's the idiot who stole your name that's an asshole.
Yeah.
I would say contact them and be like, hey, this is my actual stream. I'm trying to move over. They stole my name. Gimme.
She already did that.
Just do it
Damn.
like
There's like a
Almir
30
Meal
day wait or something. They're actually,
gaming.
from what I heard, doing a thing where if someone gets your username and then the account's inactive for so long, they will like boot that person off and give it to you. Is that right, Almir?
That's good.
So
That means that I have to stream regularly on there. Okay.
it means I have to log in and at least post something every now and then, I guess. Oh well.
Or
Not
watch something.
was obviously stuff at work. Almost got all the way up the salmon ladder once. That was an interesting adventure on the way back down, let me tell you. Refinishing furniture and stuff like that. Video game wise, I finally started playing around with my Xbox again. Started playing the parts of Assassin's Creed 3 that I hadn't gotten to yet. It's very slow going because I'm having too much fun killing off all the British people.
But it's so fun.
It's
Why would you
called
stop?
Assassin's Creed. I should be going around assassinating people, not,
Exactly.
engaging in political discourse. I mean, Ezio was freaking Batman, so, no, really.
He really was.
I also, since I moved into a place that has a little bit bigger room than where I used to be, I can actually hook up the Kinect, and so I had my Michael Jackson Experience dance game going the other night. Did that for a couple hours. Little sore the next day, not gonna lie, but it was fun. I just kind of wish they'd waited to put that game out until the software was a little better, because some of the stuff, like, I know a lot of the actual dance moves, so when the song's playing, I start to do what is supposed to go, but either because they just wanted to take the difficulty down for the average user, or because the motion capture technology wasn't good enough at the time, they put something else in there. And so it throws me off. So yeah, Michael Jackson and Assassin's Creed 3 on Xbox, and then on the computer, oh my, there's been a lot of computer gaming the last couple weeks. Picked up The Darkness 2.
What do you think?
So far I like it. I haven't played it that much yet. I've only played about 20 minutes. So far I'm liking it. I remember I talked with someone before about doing like a cosplay of that character myself at one point, and having played the game, I now want to do it again because basically I just have to wear a nice suit, and then I have to make myself like controllable shadow tentacle things, which sounds like a fun challenge to me. Let's see, what else did I do? Finally got around to starting Oblivion. I played about 2 hours into that, so not very far yet. Started replaying some of Fallout New Vegas because I never finished that one. I just ran around most of the time. What else? I know there was something else. Oh, Shadowrun Returns. I finally played through the whole thing of, what exists as far as harebrained scheme-generated content, so the original one and then Dragonfall. I really like the game. It sets it up a lot of how I would have wanted a Shadowrun game to go. I just kind of wish it was a multiplayer. I just don't know how hard it would have been for them to turn that into a multiplayer. It plays a lot like Fallout Tactics, if you've ever played that one. I think Fallout Tactics engine worked a little bit better, but Fallout Tactics also had a much larger company behind it. Let's see. I didn't play anything else. A little bit of 7 Days to Die, not too much though. I'm kind of waiting until the next expansion hits. I've kind of played all I really feel like playing with the current map, so I'm kind of waiting for the random generation tables.
Oh shit!
What?
Oh, new Humble Bundle, but I'll talk about that later. It's brand new. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Let's see. Hopefully starting classes coming up at the end of the week after I go to National Congress for Gymnastics, which is in Pittsburgh this year, so that's nice and convenient. I don't have to drive anywhere too far. Not really a whole lot else. That pretty much covers it. I could have swore there was another game I'd played a bunch of, and I just can't remember what it was. Oh well, I'm sure it'll come to me. But yeah, that's about it. A little gaming, a little carpentry, and some fun sciencey stuff I was looking into to share with everyone. And one of the things I didn't even try to look up, it just kind of happened. I was telling them before the stream started, some people can't go on TV trips without getting lost. I'm one of those people that I can't go on like Science News, Science Friday, or Wikipedia without getting lost. So, and that is it for me. Meow, meow, meow.
Why are you snapping? We know you're next.
Because she has to make some kind of noise to get her picture to pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
It's reversed.
Get a mirror. Well, it's reversed for us. It's not reversed for everyone else. I still can't see it though.
If she clicks on her
Anime,
on her
hanging with friends, being sick, capital T, underscore, capital T, and lots of
It's
smite.
crying face.
She's still working to level 30.
How long has it been? Jeez.
It's been weeks and weeks and weeks. She's been playing a lot.
I noticed.
She'll get there.
Well,
Just gotta believe in yourself.
I want to find out her final time. When she's done, I'm gonna try and beat it. I'll start smite and try to get to the max
It's
level.
taking her a long time. I don't want to get involved now. I'm just like, I got other stuff I gotta do. What's the level? Move it move it over
27.
27.
Yeah.
Okay, you're getting there.
Getting close.
I could say something really
Yeah.
mean right now, but I'm not
Now,
gonna do it.
Would you say that's slow, medium, or fast of leveling up?
It's clearly taking a long time because she's been playing a lot lately. She's been on the work toward level 30 thing.
Yeah, well, I haven't been paying attention to how many times she's won and or lost. Yeah, probably more experience for winning.
No, fair enough.
Because Because this could either mean she's really shit at the game, or just normal or really good. I don't know.
I think she. I mean, she's playing with a lot of people who know what they're doing. So, but she's apparently doing pretty well with them. So I think
I
that.
play League of Legends with people that are on like silver ranked teams, and yet when they're with me, they lose every time.
Well, maybe it's you, David.
It is me. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
One person
don't
can't
worry.
break
I usually suck at multiplayer games too, except Smash Bros.
Okay.
Fest.
1 month is fast. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Normal
all
pace.
that.
Okay.
They should put in some Hindu gods.
So apparently I can read backwards. Who knew?
You gotta be good. I'm really good at reading subtitles backwards. So I guess that's Cat's 2 weeks. I miss Josh. When's he getting back?
As soon as he gets a day off work, which I
Oh.
think is actually tomorrow, is his first day off in a couple of weeks.
You can do it, Ray Tall.
Yeah, timing.
You
I know
can.
what those are like.
I'm the potato. I believe in you. You can
Yeah.
do the thing. Tomatoes. Okay.
Actually, depending on what happens with school, I might not be able to do this anymore. I just realized that.
That
This
sucks.
crap. Well, then we'd have to reschedule it, like do a different day. Okay.
Yes.
All right, boss. I guess me. I guess. There's been a lot going. First of all, there's a new Humble Bundle, the Humbo Jumbo Bundle 2. And
Yeah.
right now, this is what you
Good.
get. This is what you get. If you donate out, you get The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing Complete Pack. I actually heard that game's pretty good. You get Deadlight, which I heard was Galactic Civilizations 2 Ultimate Edition. That's the minimum. If you pay more than the average, you get those 3 games, and you get Terraria. You get the King of Fighters 13 Steam Edition, and you get Crusader Kings 2 with 3 DLC unit packs. That's the average.
In my opinion, they should have swapped those 2 rounds. Just because I don't want.
I mean, the
ones.
basics are the most interesting to me, because I'd
Exactly.
like to play that Van Helsing one. I already own Terraria, and I'm not too big into King of Fighters. But if you
Van
pay
Helsing's pretty awesome.
if you pay 15 or more, you get all that other stuff, and you get Age of Empires Legacy Bundle, which I think is all the old Age of Empires games. And they're going to add, you get soundtracks too, and they're going to add more in the future. Now, this just started today, which is pretty good. And they had a flash bundle yesterday about rhythm games, but a lot of those rhythm games I already have. So
I miss all of the flash bundles. I feel so sad.
you got to subscribe to them, and then they'll give
I
you
am.
else.
I've
gotta
subscribed to all of the bundles, and I haven't gotten an email from any of them for a good month or so. I gotta resubscribe or something. I don't know what's going on.
So overall, I'd say, and of course, none of these are available for Linux. They always got to remind you that. But I'd definitely recommend this one, especially for. Do I recommend paying over the average or $15 or more? That's up to you. But for me, I definitely pay the minimum because I want to play Adventures of Van Helsing, and I'd like to play Deadlight. I heard it wasn't too good, but at that price, sure. And I don't know much about Galactic Civilizations 2, so I'll give that one a try as well. And there are going to be more games. There's judging from what they have here, there's really no predicting what the new games could be, because usually if it's like the 2K bundle, it's going to be a 2K game, or if it's a EA, you kind of figure that, you can guess that. This one you really don't know, so I'd say go for that. Now, I already kind of talked about another news thing I wanted to bring up was the whole Twitch thing. They've started automatically copyright claiming. Well, not necessarily. They will mute your video if their automated software detects copyrighted music. And of course, the problem here is that there are not people doing this. These are computers, which means that they can mess up. And they, from what I can tell,
They already have.
Yeah, get this. Twitch's own Twitch channel was a victim of this.
The day they
The
released
day
it.
this came out, Twitch's own official Twitch channel got flagged.
Mm.
Yeah, that's...
There are some channels that are officially supported by musicians, like, Approaching Nirvana and stuff. They send them the music to play on stream, and they've been hit with it. And it's people that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, and none of their music is going to be subject to that copyright
It's really
shit.
bad. It's really bad. And it's just, and a lot of people are saying, well, this is what happens when Google buys you. And the problem I have with this, what, Alex chat, what's you wants
Wants you to smite.
Who's
They
Alex
want you to
chat?
smite. Alex, chat wants you to smite.
Why me?
Because you're the one that's like, I don't want to do it.
Why is she smiling? Oh, smile.
Oh, okay. Ah,
I thought it said
smile,
smile.
bitch. So did
Why do you want me to smile? Why? There.
Because you don't.
I smile a lot, see?
Different topic, same answer.
Oh, I didn't know chat likes me that much. Okay, whatever. I thought it said smite. I really like, do you want me to
So did I.
play smite? But the problem I have the most with this Twitch thing is that they introduced this and they made no way to challenge a claim at launch. So basically, if they match the music, you can't do anything to dispute that. You're stuck with it, even if you're in the right. So that's a problem. And not very many people were happy about that, clearly.
Mm.
Trying to think if there's anything that's on a better news. Oh, Gamescom. I've been writing a lot of articles lately because my minimum for the website got jacked up a bit since we're getting bigger and more popular. Gamescom released, there was news of a new Silent Hill game. It was helmed by Hideo Kojima, the Metal Gear guy, who's a complete troll. He's a great game developer, but he's a troll. And Del Toro, Guillermo Del, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that guy. The Strain guy, which is kind of make me sad because Josh really apparently likes that. So.
I can talk about the books. I haven't seen the TV show yet, though.
Right. So this thing was called Silent Hills, was announced. And it's also going to have Norman Reedus in it, the Walking Dead guy. Now, they announced this through a playable teaser called PT, which was free to download on the PlayStation 4. And the really interesting thing about this teaser is, first of all, it's terrifying. It's really scary. And the most interesting thing I found about this is that there's no action. There's no guns, no fighting. All you do is look around, look and listen. That's really all you do in this teaser. It's very cryptic. There's a lot of... It loops completely until you trigger certain puzzles, It does have its share of jump scares. There is one in particular that a lot of people know about. There's also, it's so atmospheric. It's so, there is a rather disturbing part where you go into the bathroom and there's something in the sink. And when I say something, I mean something. As in, I don't know what it is. It's just a thing. A lot of people have posted Let's Plays of it. My friend and his wife played it, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are going to be in for it. And it's very indie. It doesn't, all the other AAA ones like Resident Evil have all been, oh, let's shoot all these zombies. Let's have Michael Bay explosions. This is a AAA, this is a Silent Hill game, a series that's been going downhill for a while now. That's scary. That's very subdued. It's like an indie game, but on a AAA budget, and it looks great. And people are blowing everyone's minds because it's so different from every other AAA horror game available right now. And I'm like, this could make the Silent Hill series good again because it looks awesome. The teaser has nothing to do with Silent Hills as a story, but if the final game is like this, then wow, this is going to be good. And of course it's Kojima, so people like him, and I think that the horror that they use, the sort of grotesque horror, it's good. It's really good, and I'm really eager to see how this turns out. It's been on everyone's minds. The other one, which is something that really isn't too important to us, but it did kind of create a stink, is that they announced that Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, is going to be on Xbox One exclusively. Now, when they announced it, they said it was an exclusive, but as it turns out, they meant, we meant timed exclusive. It's going to come to other consoles later. And that means it wouldn't even be on PC. Now, of course, this bothered a lot of people, because they thought that, like, Microsoft just bought it. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, they did. But the fact is, they never confirmed it was a timed exclusive until long after people got, just shit themselves. So, bothered a lot of people. And once they finally revealed that it would be just a timed exclusive, people were thinking, well, why didn't you just tell us that? And I think the deal is they wanted to up publicity for the Xbox One. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing. I really didn't like the last Tomb Raider as much as everyone else did. I thought it had a lot of problems. Especially, the action was bad to me. There wasn't enough puzzle solving. And the story was so uneven. The story was basically, she's trying to be a survivor. She's trying to go from this timid little researcher girl into a full-on survivor. But it was so uneven. I mean, you cannot say that you're moving from being a defenseless child and then just shotgun a slew of people in the face. That doesn't provide a good story. And at the end of the game,
it's hella funny.
Well, I guess, but I just think that people are treating her as like this powerful heroine, and that she's like a powerful female protagonist. And I'm like, but it's unnatural. That's the thing. In the last level, she says, "Run, you bastards! I'll kill you all." And I'm like, you're rushing into this. That makes it look stupid when you do that. Because I know they're trying to say that she's trying to move into adulthood and trying to become this survivor, but
she went crazy.
Yeah, you need to ease into that. This is the same problem I had with like Far Cry 3, because this same thing happened with the main protagonist. But he eventually goes insane. They explicitly say he goes insane. And that makes more sense than just saying someone's a survivor. You can't say Lara Croft went nuts, because that's terrible. That's not. But the point of the matter is that Microsoft never defined exclusivity for this, and that's kind of the problem. But I do think that the two sides of this is, one, Microsoft has its right, can have exclusives too. They can do that. And while they can, the other side says, but they didn't make this game. They didn't involve themselves with the development. They pretty much just bought it. And that kind of brought up a problem like exclusivity. Now, the thing with something like Bayonetta 2 on Wii U, Nintendo funded that game. It would not exist if Nintendo hadn't funded it, because everyone else didn't want to fund it. Things like Uncharted, well, Naughty Dog's a first-party Sony company. They communicate with Sony directly, so yeah, they have it. And even something like a PC exclusive, like, I'm trying to think of a good example here. A game like a real-time strategy game. That works best on PC because, mouse and keyboard. But something like Tomb Raider, which could essentially be on any system, it doesn't really fit. It's basically Microsoft just putting up the money and buying it. And people are vilifying Microsoft, but Square Enix took the deal, so that's kind of their fault too. So I just think that's it was a problem. Like, what is exclusive being good or bad? And I'm thinking exclusive's great, but there needs to be a good reason to be exclusive. I actually wrote an article about the pros and cons of being exclusive versus multi-platform, and I really didn't come up with any sort of definitive answer, because both have their advantages. So those were really the three things that I really wanted to talk about. So we got Twitch killing itself. We have the Silent Hill demo, which I want to be really good. and the whole Tomb Raider thing. Other than that, it's really just been Phil Fish being an idiot on Twitter again, and stuff like that. And stuff that I really don't want to talk about because it's a little bit about game journalism, and that I just don't want to talk about. So, who's next? Are we moving on to Australia? Where's our Australian ambassador? David, where'd you go? He died.
The dingo ate him.
There he is.
There he is.
I didn't die. It was just a tiny minor emergency, so I turned everything off. I was like, go deal with that.
Okay. What happened?
So you guys, yeah, exactly. So I like to bring you guys the weirdest shit that happens in Australia. You know this, right? So I was reading up on something to show you guys, and I found something that apparently I didn't know about, but is very, very common on the west coast of Australia after a, well, I guess you could call it a dust storm. It looks...
On the coast?
Basically, yes. All right. So
Okay.
after a large windy event on the Western Australia coast, this happens all along the shoreline, and it looks kind of like a tsunami. This happens, and apparently is incredibly common. It's a wall of sand and dust that spreads out from the coastline until it eventually
It
dissipates.
looks. I've seen that picture. I know that's not the exact picture of the
It's
event,
not. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I've seen
That
that is.
one-
Yeah, it looks like beer.
Events
It looks
of
like
a while
beer.
ago. Yeah. This particular one was
Tilt the
Christian
camera
as it
down,
approaches. Yeah.
That's telling you to tilt your camera down. It looks like beer. It literally
Yeah,
looks
it's a
like
little
just a frosty Sam Adams just coming at the coast.
Well, I mean, Aussies like our beer, so yeah. This is one of those events. It's not the most recent one. This is one of them that just happened a while ago. But yes, this is apparently incredibly common.
I saw that picture on crack.com on their
Yeah.
article of like 18,
That event's from January.
like 18
Yeah.
photos that you won't believe aren't photoshopped.
Basically, that particular image is from January. I think it says January 19th. And there are others, many, many others. And apparently it's just super common. What the hell?
There weren't any like
And I-
casualties or injuries, were there? It's just
No,
big
it's just
wall of dust.
it's just dust. Yeah, big wall of dust. We don't have many or near any shipping lanes really on that side of our country, so there's not that much happening over there because it's like our less developed side of everything. So I mean, obviously there is some stuff, but it's not that big a deal. Yeah.
You guys get all the bad stuff and you just sort of brush it
Oh,
off.
come on, that's amazing. Come on.
I know it's amazing. That's what
The reason we brush it off is because Australia is life's hardcore mode. Get used to it, guys.
it is. Yeah, it's like you
that,
guys.
That movie After Earth. No, that was really they just filmed Australia.
It was a documentary about us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's
All
a
those
place where there's a
it's
place
so
where
like-
everything is evolved to kill humans. Yeah, it's called
Cool.
Australia.
And it's
This is a documentary about our
with
country's
everything
history.
from sand to rainforest. I mean, we got it all, guys. All of it.
I'm not gonna lie. If I was in a boat and I saw that kind of storm coming in, I would probably put my pants.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
when
that
you start writing up your last will of testament. You're like, yep, it's already done. We're dead. See you guys. But yeah. Apparently, it only
That's
happens on that coast because it's being less developed. There's less windbreak. There's less, stuff to stop all of that blowing into the fucking ocean. So there you go. But it's incredible, like the shit that goes on here. I mean, most of the time the news is quite depressing here. I don't know why. Just seems to be.
I have no idea.
People are so tired of everybody else trying to kill them that they try to kill themselves. I don't know what's going on. It's just like, what the hell? Stabbings all day long. What? I don't know.
Well,
that
right
was just
now,
one for
our,
the week.
our nation isn't doing very well either.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the news, but
I have seen some of it, but not much. I mean, I know about some riots that are going on at the moment in this particular little town of yours.
I grew up in St. Louis. That area where that's happening is not far from where I used to live. This is all very personal to me, but
Right.
let's talk about Australia. That's less depressing.
Land of the hardcore. Anyway,
Hardcore.
we are going back into droughts, which means we're going back into somewhere between 3 to 7 years of just water bans. We can't water plants, we can't wash your cars, can't do anything because there just won't be enough to go around most of the time. What most people don't know is we go through a cycle of massive drought and massive just too much water where we have floods and things like that. Basically, it's an event that comes through. It's called an El Nino. It's a weather event. It's what gives us our rain and all of that stuff. When that's gone, like it is now, we start to see very drastic changes. So our dams are already losing considerable volumes of water when up to a month ago they were overflowing. We were having to release water. And now we're like, shit, we're kind of running out again. What's going to happen? This section won't be as bad because we built the desalination plant finally, so we'll have water to drink at least.
That's good. You kind of need that.
Yes. But that's the thing, is like every cycle the drought seems to get longer and longer and longer. So the estimation could be anywhere up to like 7 years this time, instead of, I think last time was 3 or 4.
Man.
Yeah, so that's coming up, which means incredible bushfires. Like we have bushfire season.
Where are you from?
I'm from Australia. I'm from Sydney. Sydney, Australia, mate. So we get less of the bad stuff here, but once it hits drought time, it doesn't not touch anybody. So, you guys have like earthquakes and all that sort of stuff. We have the horrifying inferno bushfires that devastate towns and cities and many, lots of bad stuff. Everyone tries to chip in as much as they can when that happens. Anyway, so that's our news. No heroic events this week or last week. No hideous, horrifying things of that week of stabbings on random places across Australia. That was a very strange week. We don't know where the crazies came out of, and they seem to have disappeared again. But surely they'll surface once again. They always do. It's Australia. But yes, I will pass it on to the next. Because Australian news is as crazy as wall of dust. Like I said, that image I showed you was from the beginning of this year. There was one this week, which is why I found it, but they didn't have a picture of it, so I was like, I'm just going to find one of the last time it happens.
You just see people standing on the coast with their arms out and their mouths open like, I need to get drunk now.
Yeah, that's called manly
Dionysus has brought forth the greatest gift of all. And then they realize it's dust, and they're just like...
And then they grab their face because their eyes are bleeding.
Basically, yes, it would be like just sandpaper and reach your face.
This isn't what I thought would happen.
The goggles! They do nothing!
Oh, they really won't.
Oh god, no. Yeah, that stuff would shear your face off, like, real quick.
Really?
I mean, I've been in a minor dust storm, and I had glasses that you can't even see through now, they're scratched over. And that was just a minor thing, like, that is a whole fucking wall of the shit. There ain't no coming back from that. Woo!
Indians.
I don't know what symbol that is from. It looks like a...
That's pretzels.
It's Andians. They make
okay.
pretzels.
Those are good, though.
Those appear to be a carton of cinnamon and sugar bites.
Pretzels here suck. I'm just saying. They're tiny and they taste bad.
Indians are like, if you get just the regular pretzels, they have a lot of butter on them.
Yeah.
So, they're good, though, if you don't mind the carbs.
I don't mind the carbs, jeez.
So what's funny is, within the last 5 minutes, you guys have given me what could have been great segues into both the things I was going to talk about today.
Okay, well, I have a good segue for you. I heard there was a satellite or something that got hit by a fiery comet of doom. How about you tell us about this? I want to know.
I didn't hear about a satellite getting hit by a comet. I was going to talk about a satellite that was trying to harpoon a comet.
Okay,
Jesus.
one of the two.
There's gotta be a Moby Dick joke in there somewhere.
Just name the comet Moby Dick.
Actually, the comet's name
should have been Moby.
is either 67P or I'm going to apologize right now because these names are Russian and I don't remotely speak that language. Churyumov, I'm not even going to try that one. Gerasimenko.
They should make, I swear, now they're going to remake Moby Dick as a movie in the future where they harpoon comets.
Yeah.
And
So
if that-
anyway.
Comet.
and now you have a great idea, Hollywood. Send me the check.
Can't be any worse than Sharknado.
Oh, gosh.
Oh.
Oddly enough, that is not the worst movie I have heard of at the moment in the last few weeks. That belongs to Septic Man, but I don't want to talk about that.
Sounds like a shitty movie.
Quite literally, it is.
That was the joke. It was supposed to be a bad pun. Okay.
Well, the sad thing is it's completely real, and the first scene alone it makes me completely not want to see it ever. But I digress. Let's
Okay,
talk
so
about something
giant
better.
dust clouds. So let's segue from that into talking about giant dusty snowballs or dirty snowballs, which are comets. Now, as I mentioned, there's a comet with a Russian name that I can't pronounce. That was discovered by 2 Russian scientists, and the European Space Agency about 10 years ago launched a satellite with the intention of 1, orbiting the comet, getting some good pictures of it, and 2, sending down a lander to go down and pick up samples. And apparently it's going to attach itself to the comet via harpoon.
Interesting.
So they called it Rosetta. I would have named it Ahab. Because looking
Would've been.
at all the pictures of the comet, it kind of looks white, so, you know, you could... Like I said, there's a Moby Dick joke in here
And
somewhere.
they didn't call it Ahab. They completely missed the boat there.
Brilliant.
But apparently the lander's going to touch down on looks like the 10th of September. And it's currently the first satellite to ever actually make a rendezvous in orbit with an asteroid. Or, sorry, not an asteroid, a comet. To
On
complete it.
purpose.
This comet's going to be a little bit easier to study, unlike Halley's Comet, which a lot of people are familiar with. It has an orbit of about 75 years. So, I saw it when I was a little kid. Chances are the next time it comes around, I'm going to be dead. This one has an orbital period of a little bit less than 7 years. So, it comes around fairly often. That said, they still had to slingshot the satellite around looks like the Earth twice, and Mars at least once. Comets are basically leftover remnants from when the solar system formed. And when I say dirty snowball, I mean that pretty literally. They are basically giant chunks of ice with dust, dirt, different minerals in them. They're important because it's kind of like getting a core sample from Antarctica. It gives you an idea of what was going on in the solar system a long time ago. And
Awesome.
there are some minerals to be found, but mining one isn't really like mining an asteroid. If you mine an asteroid, most of them you're going to get a lot of usable materials out of, like iron, nickel, platinum group metals. You know, each asteroid is probably worth several $1 billion just in terms of its raw materials. Which is why asteroid mining should become a higher priority than it is, but that's another topic entirely. So, essentially, we're going to land on this giant snowball. By the way, when I say giant, larger than Mount Fuji. Literally,
Nice.
larger than Mount Fuji. It's big. What's the mass on this thing? 3 times
Very, very big.
kilograms. Yeah, that's pretty darn big. It's a big enough object that it actually has gravity that we can easily measure.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Anything with mass has gravity. Okay.
Right.
This bottle of 5-hour energy technically has a gravity well, but it's so small it might as well not exist.
Right.
Now, the escape velocity for Earth, how fast you have to be going to get out of Earth's orbit, is about 11 kilometers per second. The escape velocity for this thing is 0.5 meters per second. not kilometers per second, meters per second. So you could probably jump off this thing if you really wanted to.
Awesome.
If you
So the
really
lander-
wanted to.
It's kind of cool. The lander actually has the harpoons. It has these weird little screw things out on 3 arms. And it also has like a retro rocket mounted on the top to help keep it sucked down to the comet, which is kind of funny because if any of you remember the movie Armageddon, the way they got around having to simulate zero-G is all their spacesuits had like these little thrusters on them that were supposed to keep them down.
Hmm.
So essentially, that's what this satellite is actually doing to keep it on the comet.
Awesome.
There are some theories out there that comets are one of the main sources of water from, like, when our planet was forming. A lot of the water that's on our planet is from, really old comets. So,
That was
like I said,
me.
understanding
I
is
apologize.
very important. And I'm not going to go into asteroid mining.
Which I think it would be amazing.
I mean, it really is. I mean, you're talking a huge amount of raw materials.
I might be the other one here that actually wants to hear about it. I'm sorry, but like I talked to my mates about this sort of thing, look, because they're very much in the same field that you are.
Yeah.
And I can't get enough of this stuff. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's
just like, that's my
it's just a
brain.
thing of there's so much worth of raw materials out there, and also, I mean, there is another potential impact, pun intended. We need to start tracking where asteroids are better, not only just because we want to mine and get materials from them, but
We don't want to
because
explode.
it doesn't take a very big asteroid to do a lot of damage.
Small ones moving very fast.
I don't know how to- Yeah, I don't know how to link images on here or anything, but Google something called Tunguska. And the last time I checked, they weren't sure whether that was a comet or a meteorite, but essentially, it was not that big of an object that broke up a couple of miles above the Earth, and it still flattened a huge area.
Mm.
So it's funny because comets are kind of like the icebergs of space,
Right.
and it is definitely possible that a comet or asteroid could impact the Earth, even just impacting the atmosphere. This thing didn't hit. Okay, all right. It didn't even hit the planet. Okay, it hit our atmosphere. There was no impact. It still flattened everything within 2,000 square kilometers, or 770 square miles for those who don't know the metric system, and was the equivalent of about 30 megatons of TNT. And I think we went over it another week. That means quite a bit of bang. That's significantly larger than the bombs on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. And the only reason no one really, that we know of, died with that one is because it happened in the middle of Siberia, where no one lived.
Where no one lives.
And I mean, let's
Incredibly
see,
lucky.
estimated to have knocked down some 80 million trees, more than 2,000 square kilometers. The blast measured roughly 5 on the Richter scale, and for those who don't know, the Richter scale is a logarithmic scale, so that doesn't mean, oh, well, a magnitude 2 earthquake is twice as powerful as a 1, and a 3 is a little bit more powerful than 2. No, that means every time it goes up a whole number, the power has increased by a factor of 10.
Yep.
Shit.
Oh,
So,
logarithms. I remember calculus class.
so a 5 on the Richter scale is 10 times a 4. A 4 is 10 times a 3. A 3 is 10 times a 2. So, that scale... I mean, no one... It was years before anyone actually got to see the Tunguska area. And I mean, it's been... Let's see, the first expedition to try and track it down was in 1930. Okay? That's quite a while ago. That's better part, 80, 90 years? and most of the area where Tunguska, like around where the epicenter was, is still flattened.
Shit.
That's a near hit. That's not an impact.
Oh god.
So,
Hmm.
if it actually hits,
We are fucked.
Oh yeah.
let me look
Oh,
up
yeah.
something, because I don't want to say Deer National Park. I don't want to give the wrong size, because I think I remember this correctly. But I don't want to, give out false information if I can avoid it.
Would be
Okay,
nice.
Meteor Crater, Meteor Crater National Park. It's in Arizona. Trying to find the size of that particular meteor.
Cat just has her chopsticks. We
I
see.
think about chopsticks. We hear it too.
Hi, click, 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 like from Philly.
Is that what you're going to use for your noise making now instead of snapping?
Don't they? Yeah, they did
Okay.
that really coolly because the lady couldn't know how to use chopsticks, so every now and then she'd just go, "Hi, click, click," and everyone would click their chopsticks.
Alright, the crater is
Little chopstick you.
about 4,000 feet in diameter and almost 600 feet deep. It was formed 50,000 years ago, so it's had some time to fill in.
Mm.
That meteorite was only about 160 feet across, or 50 meters. And it made that big of an
Very
impact.
small.
So, this is why I say, we really should probably start paying a little more attention to stuff that goes on. The near impact not that long ago.
Yeah.
they were-
Russia was.
There was... Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that
yeah.
was pretty spectacular. No, there
Oh,
was
yeah.
another asteroid that was, like, it could have been an ELE, extinction level event.
Great.
And at one point, they said there was about a 1 in 35 chance it was going to hit us. Now, it turned out it didn't, but
We are there,
to give you an
there.
idea of how close it was,
Could've.
we
Yeah.
have GPS satellites that orbit the Earth farther away than what this thing came.
Mm.
It was closer than geosynchronous satellites. That's pretty close in terms of space.
Yeah.
And that would have been, that would have been a lot of devastation because it was if I remember correctly, it was an iron nickel meteorite, which obviously there are a lot of different kinds of asteroids. Some are made of just
Very dense, so.
dust, some are denser, some are lighter. It depends on their origin.
Mm.
So I mean, and we didn't know about it until I think it was less than a year out or something like that. So if we want to keep that from happening, we would need to know several years out, despite what the movie Armageddon and Deep Impact and all those had you believe back in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Mm.
No, if we don't know a couple of years ahead of time, there's nothing we can do. Because if you blow it up with a nuke, then you just get a ton of small meteorites going in. So that's most of space news, unless Almir's writing a question, because she's writing something.
Well,
Are
I've
you
got
ready
one to add
You're
on.
gonna need to add or answer. You get big noise because asteroid is what it is in space. Meteorite is once it hits the atmosphere.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the difference.
Yeah.
The
Every
difference
time
is
you see a
location.
shooting star, go, thank God we didn't die. That's basically.
Pretty
Most
much.
of them are very small, and
Yeah.
a lot of it is debris from comets.
Mhm.
But people always like make a wish and go, no, mine already came through.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you see the comet's tail, the tail is always facing away from the sun because it's not like it's streaking through the atmosphere and that's what's causing the tail. What's causing the tail is the front of the comet is getting hit by radiation from the sun. It's heating up the surface and it's getting blown back by the solar wind. So the tail is always pointing the opposite way from wherever the sun is. It's literally a ball of ice. You know, if you want a good mental image, imagine a dirty snowball and a blowtorch. That's what's going on. Except instead of a blowtorch, it's more like a blast furnace, but most people don't have access to those. So, I mean, a lot of times when you see, like, little shooting stars and stuff, you're either passing through just basically a wake of, like, really small little asteroids. You know, when I say small, I mean, like, you know, the size of my fist or something like that. Or you're passing through the tail end of a comet. And that can cause a lot of small little meteorite impacts, too. And, I mean, we get hit with thousands upon thousands upon thousands of small meteorites every year. Depending on what area you live in, you can, you know, go wash off your roof and run like a little magnet through the gutter, but you might pick up little pieces of nickel and iron meteorites. I don't remember what the right area is off the top of my head, though. So, the other thing I was looking at, and this actually ends up being two topics, because one kind of led into the other. They started doing a study on the effects of antibiotics in infants and younger people. Well, they started it on mice. I'm assuming they're probably going to do case studies for humans, because I don't think they let you experiment on children these days.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, kind of.
Really? Really?
Oh, what was that XKCD comic the other day? Oh, yeah, the guy came into the room and said, all the penguins from March of the Penguins are dead. And the person said, yeah, I know, I'm getting old. Oh, no. That's not what I mean. They were alive yesterday. I wasn't telling you were old. I was apologizing.
Oh,
I love
no.
that comic.
I'll be right back. Something came up. No. Whatever. They'll be fine.
But anyway, and when I saw the headline of the article, I kind of figured I knew what the article was going to say. It's talking about antibiotics in infancy could be what causes some of our digestive problems and obesity. And it's not the drug itself that's the problem, it's the effect it has on your body. I didn't realize this until I was having a conversation with people at work a couple weeks ago. A lot of people don't realize that not all bacteria is bad, or at least depending on its location. You actually have a lot of bacteria in your digestive tract that helps you digest food.
Yeah.
You yourself cannot digest what you're eating. The bacteria digests it, and then what the bacteria puts out, you can digest. So we're technically living off of bacteria food. Anyway. Yummy.
Tastes better when it goes in, anyways.
Yeah. But anyway, so if we're giving antibiotics in large doses, which we have been, that's why we're starting to have issues with resistant strains of bacteria that we can't treat with most antibiotics because we've been, handing them out like candy for 10 years. But what it's doing in the younger kids is they're putting them on the antibiotics for stuff, and it's killing the bacteria in their gut. So it's making it so they can't digest certain things. Exactly. Or at least that's what it's showing in mice. And, I mean, that does kind of track. I don't know, have you ever been on antibiotics, and then for a couple of weeks, sometimes a week or 2 weeks afterwards, certain foods just seem to give you a lot more problems than they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
You might be running to the bathroom a little more often, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Little Montezuma's revenge. Yeah. That's basically what happens. The good bacteria has been killed along with the bad bacteria. You got an infection in a tooth, or, you got a sore that got infected or something, or a cut. And you take the antibiotic to get rid of it. Well, it's not just, selectively getting rid of only the bad bacteria. Because if you want to get right down to it, the bacteria that's in your gut, it can be bad bacteria as well. If it gets into your bloodstream, it'll kill you. But if it's not in your colon, you can't digest your food. So they're thinking, And
Another one
the
of the
evidence-
universes up yours.
little ironies. So essentially what they're finding in mice, and what I assume they're probably going to find in humans too when they look at it, is, wow, nearly doubled. Holy moly. So essentially they gave the mice babies a low dose of penicillin, and it nearly doubled the amount of fat that they had in their body when they were fed the same diet when they got older. So, you know, chances are pretty good it's going to do the same thing to humans because our digestive tracts aren't
Very
that
much the same.
dissimilar. You know, we use some of the same kinds of bacteria, and it uses the same principles. So it's very likely that the overprescription of antibiotics, which is, you know, something that can be demonstrated, has caused a lot of bacteria-resistant strains to show up, might also be contributing to a lot of the digestive problems you have. Because in the last 10, 20 years, you've seen a huge uptick in obesity, diabetes, and inflammatory bowel syndromes like autoimmune diseases. So, you know, you have to wonder if those are connected. Because you always hear about it's because we don't exercise, or it's because, you know, we have a poor diet, or it's this, or it's that, or it's, you know. But, you know, it's probably a multiple factors, but this is one other thing that could be increasing. The good news is, and this is where the next article came in that I just kind of slammed my face into. I never really thought about it before, but you hear about how grizzly bears basically store up body fat and they hibernate for the winter.
Yeah.
Essentially, they are managing a healthy form of obesity. Because I'm looking at the article and it's got the same bear shown at 3 different times of the year, and the size difference, and you know what it looks like right before it goes in for its winter hibernation versus what it looks like when it comes out in spring. It looks like someone who got lap band surgery. You know, I mean, the difference is dramatic. And apparently the bears have the ability to manipulate how sensitive they are to insulin. Insulin is one of the hormones that controls your blood sugar. It controls nutrient uptake into your muscles. I know when I first started doing weight training and trying to put on mass, I used to intentionally spike my insulin right after I lifted because it would increase the uptake of proteins. Now, if I'm a diabetic or hypoglycemic, that's a really stupid idea, so don't try
It is very.
But essentially, that's what the bears are doing. They have some kind of inherent biological mechanism that lets them control how sensitive they are to insulin and how their body reacts to it. So the bears
Crazy.
manage to be obese and healthy at the same time. So, you know, it makes you wonder if there might be some way we can trigger something like that in humans. But
Science.
yeah,
Yeah.
another study on exercise helps your brain stay healthy longer. And I mentioned that one before. Oh, forgot about this. Another reason the asteroid thing is important, sorry to go back a couple topics, is when we're working on the idea of getting a person to Mars, one of the methods they're talking about using is basically hitching a ride on an asteroid, or using an asteroid to basically make a large mobile space station that can get out that way. You know, it's just another reason that asteroids are a good thing. I think that's about it for me. I know I had other stuff, but it's been a couple weeks, and I can't remember what all it was. So, I'm trying to get back ready to go back to school myself, so I've been cramming different things into my head, OChem and stuff like that, though it looks like most of my classes this semester are going to be like machining and electrical and hydraulic motors and stuff like that, which will be fun.
Sounds like fun.
So I've been talking for like over a half hour, so somebody else can take it now.
Well, I'm gonna see how long my voice lasts.
She
It really
speaks.
hurts. It really hurts. So for anime news, one of the biggest things, and I know a lot of people here are excited for, and as soon as I saw this, I started fangirl squealing. Log Horizon Season 2 gets a new cast and a start date. The start date will be October 4th, is what the estimated time is. So, it's actually not that far away. Several new characters are coming in. So, Yoon-chan performs the new end theme, which is going to be Wonderful Wonder World, which I'm familiar with Yoon-chan. She does a lot of other, just kind of hip-hoppy kind of beat stuff, which I think will go great with Database, because, according to this, there's, a lot of people that are like, this is the song that should never, stop. So as long as Log Horizon's, airing, they want Database to be, the theme song. Which, I can't agree with.
Remix that shit.
Right? It's awesome.
So
It is
dumb.
awesome.
It's so dumb, but keep it in there. Why not?
Yep. But October 4th, so I will definitely, that'll be, on my calendar, and I'm going to make damn sure that I'm, there to watch the very first episode. This isn't quite anime news, but this was news that I thought I would share because it was rather interesting. Nintendo responds to Zelda fan petition to name a character after Robin Williams. There was over 100,000 signatures, and it was kind of like, hey, well, he's a huge Legend of Zelda fan, his daughter's name is Zelda.
Oh yeah.
Named it
And,
after her.
yeah, and they're like, I quote, "We appreciate the outpouring of support from the gaming community and hear the request of fans to honor him in a future game. We will not be discussing what might be possible for future games during this difficult time, but we will hold our memories of Robin Williams close." So, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things. Blizzard said they were going to put an NPC in World of Warcraft of Robin Williams. So,
Play with his fans all the time on World of Warcraft, which was kind of amazing.
yep. He was a huge game fan. It was pretty awesome. I guess there was a couple commercials he did. I remember the World of Warcraft commercials that they had with all the famous actors. That was I do this and I do this, and it shows their World of Warcraft character. Yeah, apparently there was one that was of Robin Williams that wasn't aired, and that you can find several different places that was going to be edited and aired. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure Nintendo will probably do something. Come on, if the dude names his daughter Zelda, it'll be interesting. For those of you who like Attack on Titan,
So not me.
yeah. Editors estimate years left on the series. According to Kawakubo, the manga is laying out its mysteries. He says that it will take 3 to 4 years to address them and wrap them up.
Oh crap! It's a long time.
Now keep in mind this is the manga, so 3 to 4 years for the manga, which means we're probably looking at 5 to 6 years for the anime series. So that's if the editor is right where with everything's going, which it's an editor, you kind of want to go with it. So I don't know. I think this is both interesting and at the same time Baby Metal, if anyone's heard of Baby Metal.
I have not.
If you've not heard of Baby Metal, you need to go like YouTube Baby Metal. Baby Metal is returning to the US and UK in November. They're going to have their own world tour. Because what they were doing was with Lady Gaga, and they were opening for Lady Gaga. But they're going to do their own world tour now. So
Cool.
they're like, I almost want to say 6 and 7 and maybe a 14-year-old. I mean, they're young. And they're doing these, like, Japanese, it's J-metal. That's what it is.
Right.
It's J-metal. So, yep. I'm like, this is both interesting, but at the same time, I'm just like, why? So, keep the throat going. So, I don't know. I for some reason was nostalgia, I think it is. I ended up watching the World Championships of Pokemon on Twitch.tv.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that.
I'm like, do I really want to sit here and watch this? And then I, like, opened it up and I started watching it for, like, an hour. It's like, wow, this is weird and
I
yet
did the same with
captivating.
The Magic the Gathering one.
But for anyone who's a Pokemon fan, apparently there will be an iOS official Pokemon game, which will be the trading card game that you can play on your iPad. Not sure if it's for iPhone yet, but it is definitely confirmed for iPad. So, it's an online version of the trading card game, and it'll be released later this year. So, and it says, the general presumption is that it will be free and work by scanning codes on the physical trading cards. So, the original Yu-Gi-Oh game for the Game Boy Color, you used to be able to do that. If you had the cards, you could just input the code and you'd get the
That
card.
was awesome.
So, yep. Is it free? It is free. That's what they're saying, that it's supposed to be free.
It's
But,
technically free because you got to buy the actual cards to put on your thing.
yeah.
Free.
Yeah. Adult Swim announces Labor Day Attack on Titan Toonami Marathon.
Why Labor Day? It's like a Monday.
I'm not sure. August 30th? No, that's a Saturday.
Labor Day? Oh, okay. It's not on Labor Day.
Yeah, but announces a Labor Day.
Okay.
Because at 2 a.m. this Saturday, Gurren Lagann is going to be debuting on, well, not really debuting, but airing on Adult Swim. So they're going to do a lead-up, which is going to start with the premiere episode of Space Dandy, and followed by a special Attack on Titan marathon. And it shows at 11:30, the world premiere of Space Dandy, and then from midnight till 5:30 in the morning, they will be doing episode 1 through 12 of Attack on Titan. So. And then... that's interesting. When are they gonna put Gurren Lagann if it's supposed to... Oh, this Saturday. Oh, okay, so it's the 23rd that Gurren Lagann shows, and then the 30th they're doing Attack on Titan with Space Dandy. So yeah. I don't have cable, so for those of you who actually have cable, it's kind of relevant. But I watch all my anime through Crunchyroll. But
Yeah, most people have this thing called the internet, and it's
Yeah.
the best stuff of everything.
which sucks. I still haven't gotten to watch Tokyo Ghoul yet. I'm like so upset. So upset I haven't watched Tokyo Ghoul yet. But I keep forgetting because it's not on Crunchyroll. But I hope and I pray that Crunchyroll gets the licensing to Log Horizon.
Would be nice.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they had the first season, so a lot of times they stick with, like, where the original seasons, like, showed. But, I mean, they had that entire fight with Funimation. So.
Right.
Oh, I'm burning up. Time to put the air conditioner on. Sorry, guys, you're gonna hear a white noise in the background. So, but yeah, so I'm definitely October. I forget whether it was 4th or 6th now. Damn it. But the beginning of October, we have Log Horizons coming back. So, yay! So excited.
Sounds
So,
But yeah. And normally we have Ray Talk to give us movie news and TV shows, but... And he would finish out the rest of the half hour, but... We don't have him here.
Yeah. We could talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a really good movie.
Has everyone seen it?
I have. I don't know about the chat, so.
Well,
you can talk about
I'm
it.
sorry,
don't
I didn't
mind.
know how this machine worked.
I haven't seen it, but whatever.
But-
you guys can talk.
What?
Well, the thing I'm talking about is at one point he's standing there getting his mugshot taken, and he's doing this thing, and then when his middle finger gets all the way up, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know how
but that's
this
in the
worked."
trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they censored it. They don't censor it in the movie. But I realized that is the perfect analogy for the Large Hadron Collider. We turn it on, and the universe gives us a giant middle finger.
Fucking perfect.
I did remember one of the other topics I was going to talk about that I didn't. It's a short one.
Everyone in the chat's like, how about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? It was a good movie. And I'm like,
I haven't seen it yet.
Chat.
So I want to go see it.
I heard it was just
You're going to hear that, though. I mean,
Yeah.
figured.
I'll be honest, I kind of like the live action with the characters in the suits, but I'll give anything a shot at least once.
Kill
I've
it's
got
just
to
a
see
man.
it. I have no choice. My inner child is like, you're seeing this now.
Person or persons who use e-cigarettes, you should probably keep the wattage down on your units as much as you can.
How come?
Well, the second generation technology, because originally it was just a single setting, but I know Almir has one where you can like adjust the voltage on it.
Yep.
Or the wattage rather. The reason they did that is because you don't get as strong of a nicotine hit from the vapor as you do from burning tobacco, even if the concentration's higher. So they increased the wattage. The problem is, when you have glycerin and propylene glycol and heat, it can form formaldehyde. The higher the wattage, the more formaldehyde it produces.
huh.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, it's still better for you than a regular cigarette, but it's not 100% safe. Because I remember hearing the discussion over and over again. Why do they want to regulate it? I mean, there's nothing. There's 4 ingredients. There's nicotine, flavor, propylene glycol, and glycerin. Well, the propylene glycol and glycerin can make formaldehyde if you heat them too much. And apparently, part of the reason they're having issues with the nicotine and the flavorings is because of the solvents that are in it and some of the fun things those do when they get heated up.
Mm-hmm.
So, it looks like, according to these articles, the e-cigs are still safer than traditional cigarettes. However, keep your wattages as low as you can still use them, because higher wattages increases the amount of formaldehyde found in your puffs. And it can actually get up to the same levels that it exists in cigarettes. Yes, for those of you who didn't know, cigarettes do have small amounts of formaldehyde, arsenic, and several other poisons. Should I go through a list?
The fun and dandies.
So, I mean, it's also the original reason I thought, because some people there was a higher incidence of pneumonia with people who were doing e-cigs. I always thought it was just because, maybe people weren't cleaning their things correctly, and that probably is part of it. However, we got another study here where essentially what's happening is the bacteria and virions, viruses, that are in your mouth are getting coated with the propylene glycol and the glycerin, and it's giving them an extra shield, which is making it harder for your body's own defenses to fight them off. So that was the actual reason for those occurring. Now that said, it is still a lot safer to puff on an e-cig than a regular cigarette. But then again, that's not hard. You know, strictly speaking, it's safer for me to, you know, end next to a running car in a small building than it is for me to puff on a cigarette. What was it? A pack of cigarettes is the equivalent of putting your mouth on the tailpipe of a car and inhaling really good a couple times.
Yeah, that doesn't
You
sound fun.
Yeah. So that's the stuff that's in cigarettes. So yes, the e-cig is safer, it's better for you. That's not exactly saying a whole lot. That's kind of like saying, well, you know, hey, I got my hand amputated, but at least I didn't die. Still sucks. So yeah, that's just interesting. I never thought about it, but I guess it goes to a lot of people don't stop to think that when you heat a mixture of chemicals, fun things can happen. You can get things that didn't occur otherwise. Because you've got propylene glycol and glycerin, which both contain a lot of carbon and a lot of hydrogen-oxygen bonds. And then you're also getting into flavorings, which are usually some form of organic molecule. And then you're getting into the nicotine itself, which I don't even remember what the chemical structure of nicotine is for.
So I imagine then, with being an e-cig user, hence e-cig, when it becomes this icky dark color,
Yeah. You might want to...
that's what you want to watch out for.
Yeah.
It's almost like a black.
That looks
Yeah,
disgusting.
so-
Just go to it.
Yeah.
Lower your wattage. So I'm looking at the molecule for nicotine.
I had to make that look disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of unfun things that kind of carbon with those kind of molecular bonds can form if you heat them in a solution. It also probably depends on the quality of the solution because it depends on what it's dissolved in. Now, if it's just dissolved in water, you're fine, but if they're using some kind of other solvent, you can get into some nasty areas. You know, it's like if the solvent's like naphthalene, you know, mothballs, that's a solvent that's used sometimes. Acetone. A lot of these are carcinogenic agents, and apparently it's producing, like, the particles in the vaporizer are smaller than the particles in the smoke, so it's allowing it to get into the lungs and block up the passageways a little bit easier too. So, summation is, it's still safer, but, you know,
It's a matter of how much.
yeah. And the jury's still out on exactly how much safer it is. You know, is it the difference between driving 80 miles and 70 miles an hour or 80 miles and 50 miles an hour? You know, it's definitely not the difference between driving 80 miles an hour and 5 miles an hour. Because especially the high wattages, you're getting the same level of formaldehyde you would from, you know, regular old cigarette. You're probably not getting the arsenic and stuff unless whoever made the flavorings and so forth has some shady business practices.
Shady!
So, you know, buyer beware kind of thing.
Hmm.
Oh, I knew there was a reason I hated biochemistry. Sorry, looking at these molecules, they're freaking complex as hell. It almost looks like they could actually form something called a buckyball, depending on if they were happened just right. Buckyballs are weird Basically, imagine a soccer ball type shape, and everywhere those lines meet on the soccer ball is a carbon molecule, or a carbon atom rather. They've got a lot of industrial uses. They can, be used to store small quantities of certain chemicals and then released at a certain time. They're found pretty much anywhere you have carbons exposed to a lot of heat and pressure. A carbon nanotube, which I know I've talked about before, is just a long buckyball. Buckyballs are interesting because they are technically toxic, sort of, because there was a study they were doing to measure the toxicity of buckyballs. Did I talk about this on here before?
Yes.
Okay. It was a long
She's
time
like,
ago,
yes.
right?
It was decently a while ago, but yes, we
Okay.
did get into an hour-long conversation of buckyballs.
Okay, well, I'll give you a short version then.
Might be one of the days I wasn't here.
Yeah. Well, it's going to save Almir's voice anyway. So, they got these buckyballs, and they put them in an infusion of olive oil. And so it bonded to a big organic molecule. And they had 3 groups of rats. One they fed a normal diet, one they fed a diet of olive oil, and one they fed a diet of olive oil with the buckyballs in it. Now the rats they fed a normal diet lived a normal rat lifespan. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. Also, do keep in mind, this study hasn't been repeated yet, because it does take time to repeat these things. So, there's only one report like this, so who knows if it was just a fluke. But the second group, with just olive oil, they lived a little longer, which makes sense. Olive oil is made up of the same kind of fats that your neural structure is made out of, so it means their nervous system is healthier, their heart was healthier. They're going to live a little longer. And then the last group, they gave the buckyballs to see how toxic they were. They lived almost twice as long as the control group.
Interesting.
So we need to put buckyballs in our food now.
The problem is, when it's not bound to the right kind of molecule, they are actually extremely toxic. So that's why the study is still suspect, and we have no clue if it was just a fluke, if someone messed up the lab data, or, it hasn't been repeated yet as far as I know, which means it's going to be a little, problematic. But essentially, assuming the study was correct, what it did in the mice that were fed the buckyballs is it gave them, essentially they lived until their brains and their hearts just gave out. If they'd been given a heart transplant, they would have continued to live. So, and they were functionally, it would be the equivalent of a human being living to be about 120, 130 years old and functioning at the level of someone in their 50s. Is what was going on there. So, buckyballs are weird. And just looking at the structure of the nicotine plus the glycerin plus the propylene glycol, depending on what else is in there as far as flavoring and everything, you could get buckyballs forming, which probably aren't a good thing to have in your lungs, because those might block up the air passage, the passageways that normally your body uses to get oxygen in your bloodstream and bonding with your hemoglobin. So, if you're using an e-cig,
case is nice problem.
Yeah. If you're using e-cigs and you start getting asthma issues, switch to the patch. Or
Back to the
using
ones.
nicotine in general.
That
But
works too.
yeah, of course, the few times I used one, I smoked it like a cigar and didn't have any of those issues. So there's probably a whole mess of other issues there. So who knows?
Buckyballs are life. It could be. It could be a thing now.
In some cases, sure, why not?
What's hilarious is they've now figured out industrial level fabrication so that you can get buckyballs by pounds. You can make them very easily. So if it turns out that, hey, if you mix olive oil and buckyballs together, you get a functionally immortal human being that we just have to replace his heart after about 100 years.
I'd do it.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a nasty concoction to drink, I will drink it every day, no problem. Even if I don't care if it makes me 20 again. If it just keeps me at the level I'm at right now, I'll be good. Okay, so I filled up another 15 or 20 minutes there. Anyone else got anything?
Well, a couple things actually that sort of fit into your space news a little bit. The one thing I remember sort of going around was quite recently there was a radio telescope that picked up radio burst transmission like things from deep space, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, aliens!" I'm like, it doesn't mean that. It means that there are several forms of radiation and stellar events that cause the same radio burst that we would have picked up, and I was wondering if you would know any more about that. So you sort of clear that, because there's so many people out there that are just like, aliens.
I don't know the specific thing you're talking about. I think I remember hearing something a couple weeks ago about that.
Oh, it's just like, it's a clamor over here.
What people don't realize is we have entire observatories that are nothing but what are called radio telescopes. And they don't look like your traditional telescopes. They look like a giant satellite dish, because that's pretty much what they are. And they're used to look at space in a different spectrum. People don't realize radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, infrared, ultraviolet, visual light are all light waves. And the visual spect, like if, can you see both my hands on the camera?
Yes.
Okay. If this is the normal light spectrum, like if this is the whole light spectrum, everything from microwave to X-ray, UV, all that, okay, visual light is about that big. Okay, that's how much of the spectrum we can see with our naked eyes. Radio telescopes, on the other hand, can see more like that big of a bang. So what we're doing is we're looking at different radio emissions, and you can get certain stellar objects that produce very regular energy pulses. For example, there's a type of star called a pulsar. Well, they're called that because they pulse regular radio waves. And, you know, they're very distinctive, they stand out, and depending on how they emit those radio waves, it really could come across like something artificial. They rotate very, very quickly, and every time they rotate, you get a pulse of energy from them. I'm trying to find like an average rotation time, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Astronomy was a long time ago.
I was bringing it up is because you have a lot of people being like, well, it could totally be this, and a lot of people on this side going, well, no, it doesn't mean that it's from an artificial source trying to contact or whatever. It's just something that's happening. And you have, again, the other side of that, but it's like, oh, but we haven't heard anything from the researchers in like, it's been like 3 weeks now. That could just mean they didn't find shit.
Or it could, I mean, honestly, it's a thing of, if you haven't heard anything from them in 3 weeks, it means either they haven't found anything and they're still looking, or they did find something and they're being very, very, very
careful.
Sure
Before
they announce something. If you want to find out why, Google the cold fusion announcement scandal.
Okay.
People, did this experiment. They're like, "Holy crap! We did controlled fusion on a lab table, and it wasn't at millions and millions of degrees. Oh my God, we're amazing!" And then they announced it, and no one could replicate their experiment, even then.
Wow.
That ruined their careers.
Oh yeah.
So you want to be real careful before you make an announcement. Now, there are a lot of things that can produce regular radio waves. Pulsars are just one thing. Quasars can do it. Black holes can actually emit radio waves. Black holes are a bit of a misnomer. People think you see a black hole, you won't see anything. That's not exactly true. Because what you do is you have the singularity here. And the best way to think of what a black hole is, in math class they tell you never divide by zero. Black holes are where the universe divides by zero. You have a finite mass over a volume that is technically zero. So you have a density that approaches infinity. So what happens is, as things approach the black hole, remember we talked about escape velocity earlier, how fast you have to be traveling to get away from something. The gravity of a black hole is so great, light can't even escape.
Mm.
So at what's called the event horizon, where that's when you get the escape velocity is greater than the speed of light, you don't see anything.
Mm.
Before you get to that, there's this huge thing called an accretion disk. You can kind of think of it like the rings around Saturn, except they're going to glow brighter than any sun. Because you've got particles that, as they get closer and closer to that event horizon, are accelerating faster and faster and approaching the speed of light. And so you're going to get them breaking down into energy, i.e. they're going to glow like there's, So black holes are actually a lot easier to spot than you would think, because one, you don't see any stars behind them, and that's, an anomaly. And two, they emit enormous amounts of X-ray radiation.
Not
Which is
especially the
one of the
giant
things-
circles
yeah.
of light around them are going to be like, ooh, okay.
Which is one of the things that those radio telescopes look for is,
Mm.
we do have X-ray telescopes. So, I mean, if we're seeing off someplace regular pulses of radio waves, is it possible that it's an artificial source? Aliens. Yes, it's possible. However, there's a lot of other things out there that produce pretty regular patterns of radio waves. So what we would have to look for is some form of regularity that would not be present from a natural source, which is going to take a lot of time to determine. Because
Also, a lot of people don't realize how slow radio waves actually travel.
compared
To get something from, say, even across our galaxy is going to take an incredibly long time.
our
It's not,
galaxy,
and receiving a message, be able to talk to shit. It's going to be like, oh, something happens. A very, very long time later, oh, hey, there's something else. Yeah.
our galaxy is 100,000 light years across.
Mm.
That means when we look at stars or radio signals or whatever that are across the galaxy, that are on the other side of just our galaxy, not even talking about other galaxies,
Mm.
okay, that means that light we're looking at left 100,000 years ago. That's how big space is. Light
Yeah.
takes that long to travel. Light travels 300,000 kilometers per second. Okay?
Oh.
Now, to give you a slightly less huge number to contemplate, our sun is about, 4.5 light minutes away? 4 or 8? It's 4.
I don't actually know.
The point is, it takes minutes for light from the sun to reach us. Even just from here to the moon, there's a slight signal delay. It's like a second or two, it's not that much. But there is a signal delay. That's how vast of an area we're talking about. That's why, I'm not sure I buy a lot of, the alien stories you hear people saying, but as far as do I believe,
don't.
is there life elsewhere in the universe? I can't imagine there not being life somewhere else. Because the universe is too big. And it would be different if our star was unique, but it's not. It's one of the most common types. It would be something different maybe if we'd never seen planets around other solar systems, but where we found thousands of them. Okay, and the way we're finding them is we're looking at the orbit of the star, and if it jerks funny like this, that means it's got like a Jupiter-sized planet that's orbiting it and jerking it off its axis just a little bit.
Plant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There
how
it
we're
is.
finding planets in other solar systems.
Jerking it off.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
pretty much.
I love
Oh,
that's what
oh.
Alex got from that, was jerking it off.
Yeah.
But you're having a good day,
And it's also the thing that is it unusual to find rocky planets with water on them in other solar systems. Nope. Water's not that uncommon. Rocky planets are not that uncommon. We haven't found that many in the quote-unquote Goldilocks zone, where Earth is, where it's not too hot, not too cold, not too much radiation, not too little. But that's also because with the tools we have to detect planets around other star systems, detecting a planet the size of Earth is really hard to do because we aren't that big.
Grand
Jupiter-sized
scheme of
planets,
things.
on the other hand, are pretty darn easy to detect, and it looks like most star systems have some form of planets. We've found trinary systems. That's where one star system has 3 stars in it
Hmm.
with planets. Now, if a planet can survive that gravitational tug of war,
Anything is possible.
we found them around pulsars. We found them pretty much anywhere. But I mean, the only way we're really going to find out what's going on is to send a probe, and that's going to take a long time, because the nearest star system to us is about 4.5 light years away. So that means even if we figure out a way to travel at the speed of light,
Which
it's
we cannot
still
do.
like a 10-year round trip.
Hmm.
Technically, there is a way to travel. There are a couple ways to travel faster than the speed of light, but
Somewhat
it's through
theoretical.
some rather interesting. Okay, you know those munchkins that find ways to use the rules in games or find loopholes that you never would have thought
Looking at one.
would exist? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how you have to get around the speed of light, because
Yeah.
there are a couple of ways to do that, and if someone wants, I can go over them next week, because we don't even have time to remotely touch on that this week.
Next week, you have your topic.
It is possible. Now, going back to the topic a couple weeks ago, remember when I was really excited about the Higgs boson and everything?
Mhm.
Part of the reason I'm excited about that, there are 4 fundamental forces in the universe: strong nuclear, weak nuclear, electromagnetic, and gravitational. Okay? I'll save that demonstration for later. Now, some of the particles I was talking about us building with the LHC are particles that deal with the force of the strong nuclear and weak nuclear. They're the force-carrying particles. So if we can start to build our own particles, I mean, we can start to build things like gravitons, the particle component of gravity, which means we can start to cause spatial warps. We can start to look at things like wormholes, warp drive. Yes, all those things are actually theoretically possible. And then you can actually start to look at traveling faster than light. But so to go back to what you were actually asking about, I'll have to look and see, like, if you can send me a link to whatever the article was, I'll
See
look
if I
into
can
it.
find it.
Yeah. But I
Well-
mean,
There's a TV dealio.
yeah.
We do have 5 minutes left.
Because of you guys, I have to actually start watching the news.
Yay!
You know how long it's been since I've done that? It's so depressing. People die, stuff being on fire. No one ever talks about good stuff. Jeez. Let's
Good
say
stuff
we and
doesn't
billions of
get
others. I know it doesn't. But everyone's like, we like to be depressed. It's an hour. We're just going, oh, we're so sad. Oh no. That's why I stopped watching it, guys. Jeez.
Yeah, at least in ancient Greece, they had the satyr plays after the tragedies. Like the Greek tragedies, they always had a comedy right afterwards, so people didn't go, well,
Exactly.
you know,
Die.
drink poison or something.
Yes, they need to put like cartoons on directly after the news, because that would make everyone be like, oh, that's so funny.
What if it's cartoons telling us the news? It's just
Yeah,
animated
people might-
anchors.
You might confuse people, and then that might cause other
They
problems.
actually do have something like that. There's this channel called Fusion, which is essentially the Onion, the news channel. All of the shows are just like these goofy little spoofs of news. One of the shows is called Sit Down, Shut Up, I think. And it's hosted by Paul F. Tompkins. And all of the pundits are puppets.
Hmm.
You have
Interesting.
like you
Wait,
have
how's
like
that different from now? Oh, you meant literal puppets, not metaphorical puppets. Got you.
literal puppet. But you got like this beaver who represents the super conservative redneck woman. You have this alien puppet, which is supposedly the immigrant puppet, and they just you see these and they're like Muppet puppets. They're not like ratty adult puppets. They're legitimately look like they could have been on Sesame Street, and they're talking about current events, And I'm like, and you just have Paul F. Tompkins, who is completely him. And he's just like, okay, shut up. And then they move on to the next topic. It's so funny. But Fusion isn't on Comcast, and I'm so mad about that.
So, still, sadly, we only have 5 minutes left, so we might as well do our outros.
Yeah.
I forgot Kat was here because she's been almost as silent as Beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she has a reason not to talk because she's sick. I'm just like listening to Jeremy the science guy.
Jeremy the science guy.
Should I get a bow tie?
Exactly. I was just gonna say, get a bow tie.
Yep. But, yeah, so, later today, hopefully, if my voice still stays, because it seems like the cinnamon really did help a lot from the pretzel, and then drinking a crap ton of tea, so hopefully I can keep my voice for a while. Grim has actually come into the chat channel super late.
Grim?
He was at least here
Yes.
to hear you, Alex, say about jerking the planet off. So he never misses it.
Who wants to
Never
cheer for
misses
that?
it.
It's like a sense in it. A
Now
gland
here,
in
you
his
should show
brain.
Grim your shirt.
Oh, my shirt.
Keep
It is
it.
good shirt.
That's oh god.
He will.
That's clever, but I'm like, I have this sort of dislike of the fact that we're still seeing Invader Zim style merchandise, even though the show ended like 8 years ago or something.
Longer than that, man.
And Vasquez is like, look, I'm really tired of hearing you little Invader kids. Did you even watch the show when it was live? You kids with the Gurr, like
I did.
iPhone covers. And
I
don't get me
did.
wrong, I love that show,
It's
but
fucking amazing.
still merchandising.
Yep. But depending later today,
they
I
never
might
stop.
continue to stream Smite. Yeah, that's probably gonna be like if I still feel up to it. Sadly,
You get something
so.
for your throats. It'll be.
Yeah. Everyone's like, but I can't hear that you're sick. Sore throats, you don't really hear that you're sick. You just hear the raspiness, which I have the raspiness.
But
So,
isn't that, how can they can hear the raspiness, which is part of being sick?
yeah. I don't know.
See, here's the part where we tell her to rest and get healed, but she's just gonna play Smite instead.
Yeah, I would
Immediately.
just play Smite.
Immediately.
No, that's
Like,
kind of resting.
So, as always,
Then
you
I'm
can
going on
find.
Firefall after this, so screw it. Screw Smite, I'm going Firefall.
As always, you can find everyone's information at the very bottom of the screen. Mine. Oh, this is so weird. It's mirrored. Alex, David, Jeremy's, which is just the Twitter account, and Raytog, who hopefully will be here next week.
Yes.
So, hopefully, knock on wood, Raytog will be back. So,
All of his fantastic movie news. Cannot wait.
yep. So, Mondays you can find Post Mesmeric, aka Alex, streaming on his channel, which is Post Mesmeric Gaming, twitch.tv. Don't have your
Probably gonna be on
hitbox.
It's Hitbox. It's just Post Mesmeric. It's actually
Okay.
a good name.
So,
I'm gonna start Persona 4 next week. Watch me play
yay.
Persona 4. It's gonna be. I mean, I'm planning to do a little Persona stream continuously at the last Monday of every month. That's my plan. So watch me just talk to digital people.
Yep.
Try to make friends. I don't know who I'm gonna pick yet. Should I pick Chie? Should I pick Rise? Should I pick the other girl? I don't know.
And David, we will probably find him streaming Firefall at some point
Later today.
later today. Yep.
Yes. Very much
So, you can find
I
him
got,
at.
I got over the Freelancer binge, now it's Firefall. Well,
Yep.
what can you say?
So you can find him at twitch.tv/Carthnal. And then Jeremy has to go to work. So he won't be streaming.
I might do something later. I did make a Hitbox account, but just because I wanted to say
But yeah, that's reasonable.
To the
Wow.
person in your chat, Grayson, I don't know how to say your name. It's because I'm hysterically tired. and I'm not sure if this is really happening or not.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
so you know.
Because David wakes up in the middle of the morning.
Yeah. One last thing when I was
Can
talking
you
about
see
those
rings
pulsars.
forming on my eyes right now? They're real. I know they are real.
Oh, Jesus.
They found some pulsars, to answer the question from earlier, that rotate as quickly as 1.3 seconds. That's a star rotating all the way around in less than 2 seconds.
Oh wow.
Very fast.
They're actually so regular that you can use them as atomic clocks,
Wow.
which means they're more accurate than the rotation of the Earth.
Okay, so before this goes on to another like 30-minute thing, which then I can't upload to my YouTube because we're over 2 minutes, we have to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We shall see you again next Tuesday, 2 p.m.
Goodbye.
Eastern Time, / Almir Meow. And you can find these guys down
Go
there.
to her website.
Go on.
I want that. My website sucks.
So, we shall see you guys
I don't
later,
have
and
one.
I will
Of
continue
some
with
jelly, I
Smite
have to get one.
coming up shortly. So.